Okay, today's video we're going to be discussing a code P2440. It's the secondary air injection system switching valve stuck open bank 1. Now we're talking about a VW 2.0 turbo TSI motor. The valve cover looks like that. It's on some Audis too, but it's a little bit different. So we're going to be just concentrating on the VW. Okay, now a lot of misinformation of where that valve is, what that valve does, and how to troubleshoot it. So if you get that code, I'm going to explain to you where it is and what it does. Okay, now your car, you're going to have the battery. You're going to probably, you may not have to move the battery, but I'm doing a different job on this video, on this engine. So, you know, half of it is apart, but I figured before I go any further, let me show that code because there's misinformation all over. Okay, so you take this cover off. It just makes it easier. You're going to have your air cleaner here. You're going to have where it comes in through here. There's going to be the hose and everything. Just take everything off. And now, all right, the valve, the switching valve is right here. It's on the head. And there's a hole in the head that goes right to the exhaust. Now, there's also a sensor here. Okay, that's a pressure sensor. Now what that does, when the computer calls for air in the morning, and this is only a cold start, you're going to hear the pump going. I'll show you what a pump is in a minute. All right, now the pump's going to go over here and give air into the system. Now if it's not working or if it's not shutting off, how does the computer know? It goes by a pressure sensor. So this pressure sensor, if there's supposed to be pressure in here because it's supposed to be off, and it's showing no pressure, that could be a leak, or that could be it's not working, and it's going to set a code. That code that you just saw that it's stuck open. Okay, so this is the valve. Sometimes you can clean it. You take it off on the head. Sometimes you can clean it. All right, and this is the hose. This hose goes down to the pump, and there's another hose that goes to the air cleaner right here. And I'm going to show you where that pump is. All right, before we go on the bottom, and other people think it's the turbo. There's a solenoid on the turbo, the wastegate solenoid, or the vacuum actuated solenoids. That has nothing to do with this problem. All right, that's not emission control. All right, so just to clear that up, because it's not the people online, it's actually the manuals that are online showing you a different type of valve. I got points. Somebody was asking me that, and I looked myself, and sure enough, they're giving all misinformation. Basically, if you know how the system works, you know what to look for and you know how to troubleshoot it. I keep saying that in all my videos. Okay, now with the pan removed, the splash pan on the bottom, on this particular model, a CC, it's right there, okay? You see the pump? And then there's the lines that go up into where I just showed you the valve on the top, okay? And sometimes this pump, it goes bad too. And it can give that code. And another one is they mistaken for this one. All right. Now this is a coolant pump, or a water pump for the turbo. It has nothing to do with emissions or that code. All right. Let's go back up. Okay. So now we're back on the top. So then that hose comes over here, and the other hose, this goes to the air cleaner. Okay. Now if you do have that code, first thing you want to do, the car has to be ice cold, overnight cold, or like 5-6 hours cold. You listen to the fender of where that pump is. Start the car and see if you hear it. If you don't hear the pump, then it's probably the pump or the wiring to the pump. If you hear it, it sounds like a vacuum cleaner. It's pretty loud. All right. If you do hear it, then what you're going to have to do is do a couple of preliminaries. What you're going to have to do is take off the sensor plug right here. Now, on the unit itself, it has 2 prongs. You're going to put an ohm meter there. Make sure it has at least 3 to 5 ohms. It should have good ohms. If you don't see no ohms, or if it's infinite, like it's broken, then the valve itself has to be replaced. That valve is expensive, so you got to make sure of that. Then, if the valve checks out good, then you take the plug off, okay, with the ignition key on, the red wire, you probe it with an ohm meter, with a voltmeter to ground. All right, you should have your 12 volts there. So now, and if you don't have your 12 volts, you have to check, make sure that the wiring is not broken somewhere, or any kind of fuses that associate with this valve. You know, it may that may be the problem right there. It could be corroded. But if you got power there, now the wire next to it, they're going to be different colors for different model years, but if it's on the head like this one is, they're going to be similar. That other one goes to the computer. And that one's a little more tricky. You have to have the schematic on how to check the resistance from the other wire. Let's say this one is blue. The other wire, not the red, not this red and white one, the one on the bottom. There's only two wires. That one goes to the computer. All right, there'll be on the computer. You would have to disconnect it and find. I don't know which terminal it is, but it's the terminal, whatever terminal that the computer controls this valve to this wire. So basically, you would touch this wire to the unplugged terminal of the computer and make sure you have resistance. You have resistance. That's a good thing. Now, well, that's a good thing and a bad thing, because if you have resistance and everything else checks out good, you got power, and the valve itself is good, it could be a computer problem. In other words, the computer is not operating that. But that's like highly unlikely. The number one reason for this code, the P2440, the number one reason is the let me put this light on, is that this hose it has a crack in it and it's leaking air, and the pressure sensor thinks that the valve is open. Meantime, there's air leaking out of here. You know, a computer, only knows as so much as it's programmed, so you have to do the work. All right, like especially over here, you see how it's like worn, but they have a protecting thing here, but sometimes it can get worn so much. This is under the air box. It can have a hole, or down in the bottom, the hoses can be disconnected. That's the number one reason. Usually the number two common fail is the motor itself. Sometimes they get clogged up. In other words, if you have power here and it's ohming out, the solenoid itself is ohming out okay, take it out. Maybe you can clean it and get lucky, because they're like $150, $200, those things. All right, and it wouldn't be a pressure sensor, because a pressure sensor would throw a code. I mean, it's possible, anything's possible, but probably not the pressure sensor to give you that code. The code is related to this valve not doing its job. All right, so I hope I cleared it up a little bit, knowing that, like, when you go online to see how much this valve is or whatever, it's showing this valve for the intake runners. All right, that's the give it a little bit more power, a little bit more high RPM, just make the engine run a little bit more efficient, a little bit more power. Has nothing to do with the emissions. I don't know why they show that valve. All right, I just wanted to clear this up for a lot of guys that don't know. And maybe yours won't look like this. Maybe it'll be a little bit different, but, if you have the TSI motor, even in the Audis, I don't have an Audi in front of me. I don't remember exactly how they work, but they're almost the same exact motors. Just a little bit different. So if it has the pump, it's going to have the same type of system. All right? All right, guys, Motor Car Nut. Please subscribe, hit that like button. Any questions, leave them below. Check out all my other videos. I got hundreds of videos, and it'll save you a lot of money. And I'm doing my best to put these videos out every couple days. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.